Hi and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be doing a messages from your person reading. There are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the honey calcite sphere. Group 2 is the Carnelian pyramid. And group 3 is the Sodalite. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to, I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead, which I do recommend using so that you can skip over me shuffling cards in between groups to clear the energy of the group I've just read for and tap into the energy of the group I'm about to read for. So again, I'll give you a minute. Please use the timestamps and we'll get into your reading. Hi, Group 1. You chose the honey calcite sphere. So I'm going to start with some tarot and oracle cards to get a feel for this person's current thoughts and feelings about you in the connection, what's going on with them currently. Okay, so we have the 8 of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. 3 of Wands, so more of that fire energy. Seven of Swords, which is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. Ace of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Page of Pentacles, which is earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Ace of Pentacles, so more of that earth energy. Lady Goddess, feminine. Beltane, fertility. Hand fasting, union. And Watchtower of the East, spring. So a lot of energy here about rebirth and renewal with this Beltane card. Beltane is a festival, a celebration, also known as May Day, which is on or around May 1st, April 30th, May 1st, and it's kind of a celebration of the renewal of the earth. That preparation of the springtime energy, kind of this budding energy. It ties in definitely with this hand fasting card, this card of union, this card of coming together, the masculine and feminine polarities joined in kind of this cohesion, so that renewal and sort of rebirth can sort of come from that, which again also ties in obviously with the springtime energy here in Watchtower of the East. So this person really feels to something within them has really kind of rejuvenated. There's a spark of hopefulness, a desire with this feminine card to receive the cup of love that you have had to offer in the past, to receive the energies of this connection which continue to flow through them, even in a period of separation and distance. This could be somebody also who's contemplating with Ace of Cups, Ace of Pentacles, and Page of Pentacles, which really ties to some kind of a substantial offer, maybe an offer of love, an offer of reconciliation, an offer of an apology. And this Eight of Wands, this communication. There's a lot of kind of fervor in this energy right here. Somebody who feels very excited, very electrified, very hopeful. Something that they may have come across, that they may have seen or read, or something that as they've been doing research, maybe about the energetic connection, the soul connection between the two of you, something has really resonated for them. Where there once was an energy with the Seven of Swords of almost trying to move away from this connection, push this connection away, deny the feelings that they have for you. It's this energy of hopefulness where the tides have turned in this situation. With the Three of Wands and this idea of, almost the back being turned. This is the idea of kind of discontinuing this period of kind of fleeing from the connection, running from the connection, where once they only saw obstacles and kind of blockages and barriers, either internally or in the external world regarding the connection. There's now been almost a change of heart where they are sensing the ability to kind of renew and change these circumstances, that the distance which separates the two of you, either literally or the distance that they themselves through their actions or even you have created, maybe in needing to set barriers and boundaries with this person, that distance feels that it can be crossed. There's motivation that is within this person, something that is really awakened within them. If there had been this uncertainty before, it almost feels like with the Seven of Swords, kind of this sneaky energy where they may have, really projected upon you that they weren't interested in sort of furthering the connection, continuing the connection, having moved in another direction. But it's this idea of kind of looking back at the connection in a way and kind of observing you, observing the situation, observing their feelings in a way that's not so obvious, not so direct, and might have been in quite a contrast to what was projected or said to you in terms of their intentions towards you and towards this connection. something that they have observed, even observed within themselves, a level of honesty and clarity that they have reached within themselves, discontinuing this period of denial, and kind of stepping into this energy of renewal, of hope, something really, maybe even a seed that you had planted within them, something that you may have said, or kind of the way the whole situation played out, the aftermath of that. And as they've really had time to sort of sit with this, as that has had time to gestate, it has blossomed into something of hope, something of possibility for this person in terms of the future between you, in terms of the experiences that you had together in the past that they may have taken for granted, overlooked, or chosen to kind of walk away from, move away from, turn their back on, that this period of kind of separation or distance, or that choice that was made, it was very necessary in order to almost provide them the breathing room and the space to sort of come to this clarity. Words that were said, the experiences that they've had with you have not been forgotten. These things made a deeper impression on them than you may have originally kind of believed. And something has really shifted, something has really shaken, something has awakened within them where they are recognizing you as this counterpart energy. If counterparts and soulmates and twin flames and twin souls are not part of this person's kind of lexicon, that's not part of what they are really kind of diving into, then there is just this sense of this connection, you being very significant to them. In a way, they set you apart from all the rest. They see this as a connection where, a lot can grow from this. There's a renewed interest in investing in this connection, in participating in this connection, a curiosity to see what can really blossom, a sense of being very much called home to your energy and towards you, as they maybe have taken this time to, go through a period of denying their feelings, kind of operating in this stance of wanting to sort of push the connection away, push this kind of urge to grow and to birth something with you. Maybe even somebody who was a little bit of fearful of commitment, fearful of kind of taking that next step in their life toward, a union, toward a marriage, toward settling down, having a family, having children together, building some kind of a legacy, building some kind of a family together. And all of this could have really sort of frightened them. It's the idea almost of cold feet that they may have gotten, that something has really shifted within them in this period of separation, in this distance. It's this idea of the two of you standing on two different shores, and they've been watching you, they've been looking across at you, even just energetically, even internally, or in some cases, literally kind of watching you online, watching you from afar, driving past your house, if that is something that is practical in this situation, making a point to kind of revisit the places that the two of you visited, just to sort of soak up that energy of nostalgia, and to sort of make those memories a little more visceral for them. All of this that has really been taking place in this distance, in this silence, it's had a powerful effect upon them. This is somebody who has kind of changed their mind. They've had a change of heart where they were wanting to sort of disconnect and pull away. There's now this renewed desire of investing in this, opening their heart more to this connection, curious about what can grow from it, and a certainty as well that, this feeling of empowerment that they have, this feeling of, even just personal growth that is really spurred within them. It's all in conjunction with the proximity to your energy and to this connection. It's been something that they have been unable to almost replicate or duplicate in other circumstances, or even just in their own energy. At a distance from you, it almost feels that things have been at a standstill, and there's this renewed urge to kind of move back towards you and see how you can pick up the pieces from this situation and what can grow out of the wisdom that has been gained in hindsight, in kind of the distance between the two of you, a desire to kind of communicate this, and somebody who may be in kind of this process of trying to formulate that, perhaps even doing a little bit of investigation work, a little sneakiness, kind of watching from afar, the fly on the wall, asking people about you, looking you up online to try and kind of get a feel for that energy, a taste for sort of what's going on in your life right now, how receptive would you be to this, sort of of what is necessary on their part to kind of end this period of the two of you being almost at a distance and kind of close that gap between the two of you, so that some renewal can happen in this situation, some rebirth, somebody who's ready to come out of the iciness, the silence, the winter period that you've been in, and to really infuse life force into the seeds of love that still exist between the two of you, so that something new can grow and be experienced in this situation. So I'm going to get some messages from their higher self now, group 1, and see what do they want to tell you. Okay, and they say, I'm feeling lost and I don't know what to do about it. So there's this energy of almost wandering aimlessly, wandering in the wasteland, the distance away from you. It's starting to feel very barren and very isolated for this person. There's a desire to almost come in from out of the cold, to return to the warmth of the love that the two of you shared, the sunshine of your love. They also say, I still have dreams about you and our happy times together. So that energy of nostalgia, revisiting memories of the past, maybe looking at old photos, revisiting places that the two of you went together. Somebody who has really shifted their approach to this connection from one of denial and of running and trying to avoid, to deflect and deny what it is they're feeling. And they're now allowing themselves to kind of saturate, to sort of sit in that energy of memory, which is increasing this desire within them, this almost rebirth, this sort of reignition of the fire that they have for you that has been neglected. It's not been tended within them properly or actively for quite some time. But it almost takes sort of just this immediate period of allowing themselves to kind of indulge in the memories, indulge in the fantasies, indulge in, this thought of when things went really well and what that could have evolved into, even some thoughts about kind of how things fell apart. And all of this active participation in thought, in memory, is really rejuvenating. It's really bringing these seeds of love, which may have been dormant within this connection, or the energy between the two of you, which might have gone kind of quiet or still for a period of time. It's really reignited that fire. There's movement and flow now, where once it was just kind of a holding pattern. And they also say, I feel like you're on the other side of my every breath. So they feel deeply energetically connected to you. If they are not able to kind of observe you in the real world or online, they're definitely tapping into your energy, feeling you around them, trying to almost evoke your energy, to call you forth to them. Somebody who may be trying to actively manifest a fresh start with you, either, as we saw with the Eight of Wands, in the form of some communication that they are drafting, kind of trying to get the words just right before they sort of make that approach, before they make themselves known. This can also be somebody who may be actively trying to manifest a chance meeting with you, a run-in with you, and in conjunction with that, sort of planning what they would say, how they would approach, what that would look like, taking advantage of the opportunity to kind of create some renewal in this situation. They also say, my memories of you haunt me and keep me thinking about what could have been. So confirmation there of that nostalgia, thinking about both the sweet times and the bitter that they have faced with you. A sense of regret and longing, a sense of, if given the opportunity, that they would do things very differently this time around. Time and space has definitely gifted this person wisdom and discernment and insight, a deeper appreciation and a deeper capacity to appreciate what has existed between the two of you, the potential of what can grow and develop in the future as well. They also say, I want you to see the real me. I've been hiding from our love for too long. So that is that energy of someone who's done this about face, the turning of the tides, their impression, their ideas, their views on the connection have shifted. There's a desire to come out of hiding, to come out from the cold, to return to the sanctuary of the love that you share, the light of the love that you share, the warmth of your presence, to be a more active participant in your life in a very positive way. Somebody who's run from their feelings is now, kind of working up the nerve, working up the courage to take some kind of action, or if given the chance, if afforded that opportunity through kind of divine intervention, to invest more in nurturing this connection and growing this connection, in participating in this connection and working toward some form of union, whether that's a meeting of the minds, whether that's a cooperation with you at the pace at which this connection is nurtured and grows. Or this can also really talk to somebody about somebody who's ready to settle down, to take the next step in this connection. That energy of cold feet was coming up, and how they had kind of run from this. And this is somebody who is now kind of wanting to move in that opposite direction, back in the direction of commitment, facing their fears, acknowledging those fears, and moving through that fire of fear anyway, so that they can experience kind of the richness and what can be birthed out of the potential and the energies that you share between the two of you. They also say, I am working towards a better future. So they may have done a lot of soul searching in this time, kind of apart, the distance, any kind of silence or separation, even emotional distance. If this is someone who's still in your life and they may have appeared to be very withdrawn, kind of gone cold, sort of pulled their energy back. There's been a lot of introspection that has happened, a lot of shadows that they have faced that have been triggered by this connection. And someone who's kind of moved out of the energy of denying these things, compartmentalizing these things, to facing those fears, starting to take a very honest look at self and see, what exists within them, what sort of weeping wounds need to be cauterized in order to be able to allow that best and most courageous, most empowered and most loving version of self to shine forth, to be that face that they are showing consistently to you and to the world. Somebody who may have consistently kind of gotten in their own way, sort of self-sabotaged, now is shifting into this desire, coupled with action, coupled with effort on their part. Maybe it's just even research. Maybe it's learning about kind of an anxious avoidant attachment style, inner child wounds, starting to really just sit there and instead of projecting blame, taking responsibility, small steps that they are taking that is really opening up their perception. It's expanding their understanding. They're deepening their knowledge of self, of their tendencies, and how to kind of work with these things, how to kind of transcend and move beyond these things. They also say, I wish I had told you how much you really meant to me. So they could be dwelling on some sort of missed opportunity, feeling some regret for having run from this connection in hindsight, and just in something that has really shifted or has really dawned on this person in kind of the time that you've been apart. There's a deeper appreciation for you, for this connection, for how they really view and experience your energy as a very safe space, as a space where they are free to kind of explore and become and step into and embody that authentic self. It's taken on new meaning for them. They've been unable to really find that elsewhere. They've been unable to kind of generate that in the same way, sitting in their own energy. This is somebody who's kind of trying to really come to a space of comfort and acceptance with who they are. And through these kind of gradual steps that are taken in that direction, there is then this sort of renewed urge to kind of link back up with you, to kind of exchange energies with you in a more direct sense, to work with you in this connection, in the interest not of you filling in those missing pieces or being some kind of a remedy to a void that exists within them. But the more they get to know about themselves and come to accept this kind of light and shadow aspects within themselves, they're able to see that complementary contrast in you, that it's two whole and self-accepting individuals coming back together to almost amplify that individual power that exists and is cultivated within each of you. They also say, even though I don't show it, I am sorry for how things went between us. So this ties in with the idea of missed opportunity and some regret, somebody who wishes that they had done things differently, that they had not allowed fear to kind of complicate matters or cause them to really run or back away or pull their energy away from this connection. They also say you're the only person who truly gets me. So that confirmation there of sort of, you two might be almost polar opposites or kind of this yin-yang energy, and yet you fit very well together. There's a safety that they feel in your presence to kind of take off the masks, to step out from behind the illusion that they have maybe created or that has been kind of imposed or expected of them. There's this call to authenticity, to step into a more loving version, a more self-accepting version of themselves that's very uncharacteristic for how they kind of move through the world independently, or even, in sort of hindsight, how they were moving through the world prior to interacting with you. You've really activated and awakened something within this person that, as much as they've tried to run from it and there may be almost a dormancy, it has never fully gone back to sleep. It has never been turned off completely. And now that they are starting to really feel into this and accept this and explore this within themselves, they are recognizing kind of that very complementary energy within you. It's the idea of almost two peas in the pod, even as unconventional as this situation may be, or any kind of apparent or outward differences between the two of you, that at the soul level there's this congruency. And they also say, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. So that is that energy of the cold feet that may have caused them to sort of run from this, the intensity of this connection, that invitation to sort of step into that greater authenticity of self. They're still battling this. There's still this kind of period that is, even though kind of the tides have turned, their energy, their attention has shifted. They're still very much aware of this kind of boundary of fear that they must walk through, stepping outside of their comfort zone and yet leaning into that energy of trust that kind of on the other side of taking that leap of faith, that the way forward will be shown, that kind of choosing the path of fear and holding back and running from this. It's a very limiting experience for them internally and externally. And as an alternative to that is this invitation to kind of this wider vista of love, a love that they have not been able to experience since parting ways with you, something they had never experienced prior to meeting you. It's something that calls them, it draws them out of hiding. And there is still this hesitation, this fear on their part, though, about do they have what it takes to sustain this long term? A fear as well about, as they are kind of digging into those layers of self, there's a fear of what they will find. There's a fear of confronting their own shadow. But despite that fear, it feels that there's such a velocity here. Something has been re-sparked within this person that is pushing them to kind of continue this journey into self. And they also say, in my dreams, I see a beautiful future with you. So they are definitely considering coming back into your world, into your existence. Heavy energy of reconciliation here. You may be coming to them in dreams a lot, providing this kind of healing energy remotely. They're dreaming as well, kind of fantasizing or rehearsing about what they would want to say to you in order to generate some kind of a fresh start, in order to really express a depth and level of love that they have for you that they had kind of held back on. Or sort of refrained from taking the opportunity to express in the past. And they also say the heart can be blind and frozen. So that is that energy of kind of this iciness, a winter period that you may have been in with this person that is starting to thaw. There has been movement. There's life still in this connection that is really springing forth out of kind of this fallow period that the two of you have really experienced. And they also say nothing in this realm can stop our destiny together. So this is that unstoppable force of something that has been reignited, reawakened within them. Almost that springtime thaw where something has cracked open, something has warmed within them where they may have been kind of cold towards you, or this connection or the idea of that, trying to almost freeze out their feelings towards you. But something has really shifted and changed. And now that these wheels have been set in motion, it's the idea of kind of a row of dominoes. That first domino's been tipped over and it's kind of a landslide from this point in time. Something has really been set in motion. It's beyond even their control. They may still be in this energy of resistance, but internally there's been a mechanism which has been activated, which is creating profound and rapid change within them. profound sort of about face that they are doing, this 180-degree turn in terms of the potential that they see in this connection in the future, how they are viewing you. They may still be displaying kind of that coldness, that iciness, that aloofness, that silence on the outside, but inside, it's almost this idea of a frozen river, and beneath that kind of icy surface, there's movement happening. Those waters are flowing. This person is really experiencing and kind of moving through these emotions, where in the past they may have stayed just kind of surface level and ignored a lot of what was kind of churning and what existed beneath the surface. And they also say, I cannot escape the way you make me feel. So confirmation there of the inability for them to completely turn their feelings off for you. What has been awakened within them in the past in this connection has never fully gone back to sleep. It's never been able to be turned off. There may have been a dormancy. There may have been a period where they were trying to deny this or run from this connection, and they've been largely unsuccessful in that. They keep being brought back to you through memories, through dreams, through synchronicities, through almost divine intervention, and also through their own choice. With that Seven of Swords, that can talk about almost the forbidden fruit or a guilty pleasure. And it feels that almost somebody who for a period of time may have tried to push their feelings away, only to sort of occasionally sort of dabble or indulge, allow themselves to sort of sit in the energy, which you may have experienced as kind of a sudden surge of this person, a reemergence from this person, kind of a deep and almost a cloak, an enveloping cloak of their energy felt so viscerally and tactily around you in all ways. Lots of dreams, sensing them, feeling them, this electricity, this kundalini energy, only to have that go cold again and very abruptly. So again, this idea of kind of someone who at periods of time may have sort of indulged in this or almost overindulged, gorged themselves on this energy, intoxicated themselves on that, on the idea of it, only to have that fear sort of pull them back, kind of buckle their knees in the progress that they were making, and then they're kind of withdrawing back into the shell, denying this, pushing it away, turning to whatever excuses they had generated for themselves as to, why they needed to disconnect from you in this connection in the first place. There's been a shift, though, where they are now recognizing kind of that they don't need to run from this. They're sort of reframing how they are looking at this, where it has been almost at points in time a forbidden fruit, a guilty pleasure. They're now recognizing this connection, this situation, this love, the energy between the two of you as part of who they are. And it's something to where, it doesn't need to be feast or famine. There's a constancy to this. As much as they have tried to deny it, you flow through them, you flow through their energy, you flow through their veins even, in an etheric sense. And it's something where they're allowing themselves to just kind of sit in that, to bask in that. They're giving themselves permission to experience this, to experience it as a part of themselves. So again, you might be sensing kind of a resurgence of their energy, but it feels almost in a more subtle and measured way than kind of in the past, where it may have just kind of been all or nothing, these distinct polarities, but there's something that's being awoken. It's this gradual and intense and perpetual kind of like rebirth and renewal, this blossoming, this flowering of sort of these dormant seeds between you. And they also say we can't evade our destiny. So more of that energy of being unable to escape from this connection and the feelings they have for you. Somebody who's been in denial, who's been trying to run from this connection, suppress it, is now, kind of surrendering to this. They are admitting that, as kind of unknowable as the reasons behind this connection are, as kind of out of nowhere as this hit them in the first place, that there's a larger purpose to this, there's a larger reason for this. And as much as they may have, kind of run from this in the past, there's this energy of surrender, of kind of allowing destiny to take its course, allowing themselves to really sit in this energy, to experience this, to explore this, to follow kind of the trail of where these feelings are leading within them, confronting the shadows that stand in the way of a deeper and fuller and more consistent expression of this love, and kind of what is being unearthed within themselves. Somebody who recognizes this connection not only is expanding their perceptions of love, but the perceptions of themselves as well, and who's kind of moving out of that stage of being a runner and you know, completely kind of trying to stuff this away or kind of snuff out the energies between the two of you, to allowing that reignition, to kind of warm them, to warm their heart from the inside out, exploring that momentum, exploring the perpetuity of the energies between the two of you, to see what can be uncovered, what are the possibilities here, and what possibilities exist within themselves, who can they be shaped into as a result of this experience with you, recognizing kind of the results that they have experienced through that tendency to kind of run and evade and sort of push this away. And this is somebody who's now exploring the possibility of taking a different approach to this situation and sort of the potential of what can grow from that. So I'm going to get you some guidance, one of these little twin flame affirmation cards, to just kind of summarize this reading, group 1. Okay, and we have our souls dance like fire and ice. So that was coming through, that iciness, kind of the winter stage of your connection is giving way to this fire, this rebirth, this renewal. And this person really is recognizing that, kind of the ebbs and the flows. They are turning the corner, they are turning the page on how they view this connection, ways in which they have tried to kind of freeze you out of their life, trying to kind of suppress and deny and ignore their feelings. And now they're in this state of kind of taking the lead in this situation and allowing themselves to be led down this path of exploration, feeling very out in the cold in terms of this situation and in terms of proximity to your life. And there's a desire to move back towards that warmth, to feed that fire, to breathe life into that spark that once existed and still has continued to burn within them for you. So I'm going to get some initials for you now. This can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got I, A, G, Z, H, M, P, E, N, F, L, Y, S, and B. So those are your messages, group 1. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and I now offer pre-recorded video readings sent to you as a private YouTube link, so you can watch the reading as much as you would like. I have maybe 2 or 3 written readings left in my Etsy shop, and then once those sell out, I will not be restocking those. So in the pretty immediate future, it will exclusively be the video readings available. But at the time that I'm recording this, there's still a few, again, of those written readings left if you prefer those, or video readings if you would like something a little more expansive and in depth. I also offer personalized channeled love letters. They're standalone letters. Those will remain as an offer, something that I am offering in my Etsy shop as an option for a reading. And those come in just a written format. There are no tarot cards. It's just the standalone letter with that sent as a PDF file. I also make handmade jewelry, dreamcatchers, and suncatchers, which I sell in my Etsy shop as well if you're interested in checking any of that out. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the Carnelian Pyramid. So I'm going to start with some tarot and oracle cards to get a feeling about this person's thoughts and feelings about you and the connection, what's going on with them currently. Okay, so we have the Four of Swords, which is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. Temperance, which is Sagittarius. Queen of Swords, more of that air energy. The Fool, which is Aries. The Tower, which is also Aries. Three of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Pentacle, respect. Staff, stability. Tarot cards, guidance. And Litha, intensification. So it looks like after a period of kind of dormancy, of rest in this connection, where this person maybe has taken some time and some space, some kind of a drastic ending, some kind of a rupture in the harmony that the two of you had faced with the Tower, maybe some kind of fight or argument that took place, some information that you came upon, something that they said or did that was very shocking, that kind of disrupted the stability of the connection, and the two of you have gone into almost silent mode with the Four of Swords, that internal mode, that contemplative mode with Temperance. That's an energy of patience, so this could have been sort of a separation for a period of time. This could have even been somebody with Three of Cups that had chosen to almost move in another direction. Maybe somebody who, went in the direction of a third party situation, a karmic partner. Perhaps that was the revelation of what you found out about, that there was some sort of an infidelity. Somebody who, maybe was kind of entertaining multiple options, talking to you and somebody else. And kind of when you found out about this other person, this can even be something where, they chose to return to a previous partner, somebody that they had kind of extracted themselves with. There'd been, a breakup or a separation, only for, this revelation to happen that this other person is back in the picture. They're back on the scene. This person is, wanting to almost remedy things, try to work things out with them. And that really, creating a lot of devastation for you, a lot of confusion for you. And sort of what you have been left with, how you've needed with the Fool to kind of move in a new direction, pick up the pieces of your own life in some way, create some kind of balance and peace for yourself out of what might have been a very confusing and upsetting situation. It does look with the Pentacle, which is earth energy, and the Staff with stability, that has been where your focus is on, finding your equilibrium after this kind of chaos or this breakdown in communication, breakdown in harmony with this person. It feels that something also as well, kind of in the aftermath of that, the decision that this person made, there's a little bit of second guessing with that, a feeling with the Queen of Swords that they made a wrong choice. a choice to not invest in you in this connection, to move in another direction. Maybe this is even, if this didn't involve a third party in terms of a person, this can be a third party by way of being very tied to what their family or friends would think of the connection. If this was something a little outside of the box, or there were elements of it that didn't necessarily fit in with kind of a plan of what they had for themselves about, or others had for them about what that quote perfect partner would look like. This can be third party in the forms of some kind of a goal that they were pursuing, relentlessly, almost a career goal, some kind of educational goal where they had told themselves, they had convinced themselves that they didn't have room in their life for this connection, that you were almost competing with their job, you were almost competing with these other kind of things that they were working toward, and that a decision was made to no longer invest in this connection and to instead direct the full focus toward those pentacles, toward that status, toward that stability in the material world. Somebody who may have, even kind of misjudged or prematurely judged or incorrectly judged this situation as something that could potentially derail their plans in other ways, seeing the intensity of this connection as a distraction from other things they were trying to work on. Again, kind of that element of a third party energy that can be, a career goal. It can be a career path, some kind of education goal, some kind of a view or an idea of status that they wanted to achieve by a certain point in time, a milestone, or some kind of way in which they were measuring and equating their sort of personal worth by kind of their monetary worth and value, what they're able to produce and gather and achieve, that these things were very important to them. And kind of that polarity between materialism and kind of the immaterial wealth of love, and kind of a decision having to be made, the choice being made to kind of invest the full attention and energy in what sort of returned in dividends in a physical sense, in a tangible sense, in a financial sense to them, that leaving you at a stance of loss. Again, there is this energy of regret here with this person, a feeling that they made a wrong choice, maybe even if this wasn't either a wrong choice in terms of another partnership that they chose to invest in, or even just not committing to you in order to keep their options open, wanting to kind of date, wanting to kind of see what else is out there, sow their oats, play the field, keep their options open. That leaving them at a sense of loss, at a sense of stagnancy, an awareness that's come to them that they really missed an opportunity for kind of a new experience in love than they had known ever before, that they've been able to find sense. And it's the sense of almost having left something behind, of having moved too quickly or too impulsively, and the road that was taken has diverted them from almost this very substantial internal satisfaction, internal peace. This is somebody who their peace is very disrupted. They've been having a hard time on this Four of Swords. Normally this is a person, in kind of this rest. It's almost can be kind of a sarcophagus figure on there, just indicating kind of this quiet, this silent period. But in this card, it's this this knight that is actually a skeleton, and he's kind of sitting up. His rest has been disturbed. This is somebody who might have been having these sleepless nights, dwelling on the ending that they have created in this situation, an end of potential or possibility in a lot of ways. That has really dawned on them. It may have dawned on them very immediately, that the idea here with the Fool is they almost leapt before they looked. They made a decision, perhaps very impulsively, a very kind of extreme decision with the Tower that didn't need to be made. If this was, kind of a third party energy in terms of some sort of career goal or career path, or sort of a status that they were working toward, there's a sense of feeling like a fool for having thought that love could derail versus enhance the momentum and kind of the stride at which they were reaching for these other things. There's a sense of feeling very foolish at having misjudged this connection and misjudged you as a distraction, as something, almost looking to the worst case scenarios, almost like too much passion and attraction they had for you that they had determined would in time inevitably just kind of crumble. And so kind of taking the lead in that situation to create that ending before everything had a chance to topple down. With this energy of tarot cards, this can be somebody who is either has been praying for guidance, praying almost, it feels, or looking kind of into all different sorts of methods to create remedy for this feeling of having made a wrong turn. It's left them with the feeling of discontent and discomfort that they've been unable to silence. They've been unable to distract themselves with work, with other company, with, even with the Three of Cups, this can talk about alcohol or even substance abuse. That could have been something that they tried to turn to kind of drown out these feelings, drown out the sense of having made a wrong turn or a decision that they're not happy with. And all of these things failing to provide a remedy to this persistent kind of sense of anxiety and unease, this dis-ease within them. And so they've kind of expanded their field. They've kind of expanded their focus. They're reaching outside of their typical box of remedies to try and find some solutions, praying for guidance, praying for deliverance. For some of you, even looking into tarot readings to try and get some kind of guidance or direction for how to kind of fix this situation, how to fix this situation within themselves. With this energy here of Litha is it's another word for the spring. The spring equinox, so it's the birth, it's the beginning of something. It's kind of the turning of that season out of that winter phase into kind of this energy of renewal, and with that idea of an equinox, this equilibrium, equal light and dark. This person is definitely they have reached a place in their life and in this situation where they have a deep appreciation for these two roads that presented themselves, and a path that was taken, a choice that was taken, which has almost kind of led them away from this very uplifting energy, this very empowering energy that they've experienced with you. It feels very immediate that choice, when it was made, it was almost this immediate kind of sinking feeling that they may have had, that they've almost taken steps backward in their life, as much as it might have been a movement in the direction of what at the time felt like the good choice, maybe with kind of that idea of these two paths and sort of moving out of darkness into light. There still was something that was obscured. They may have moved in the direction that almost seemed more flashy, more opulent. It seemed good on paper. That idea of all that glitters isn't gold, and kind of in this space of not really trusting, not really understanding their feelings, kind of that low light energy of sort of, the spring equinox. It is the transition out of winter into spring, but it's not like a light switch coming on. It's not immediate. It's almost this gradual progression out of these very, long kind of nights, almost that dark night of the soul energy. That this person was operating in a stance of confusion, and not having all the information, not having even all the information about who they are at their core, and what really resonates with them, what they truly want, operating out of illusions, the wearing of masks for quite some time, and allowing those masks to be the ones that kind of led them off that cliff ledge, led them away from this connection, away from kind of purity and truth in the direction of illusion. And this really maybe even having catapulted this person into a deep darkness within themselves, just wandering further into that own internal darkness. A lot of things collapsing and crumbling, including illusions, seeing very clearly and very plainly with the Queen of Swords the true nature and reality of either a person that they had chosen to move in the direction of, or a decision to invest more in appearances and caring what other people think, choosing to kind of put love to the side in the interest of something they were trying to acquire or attain in terms of status or materialism. And so kind of this sense of wandering at this point, this aimlessness now, not certain which direction is up or how to kind of make change in this circumstance. And so again, turning to either, praying, kind of just, even if it's not praying to anyone or anything directly, it's almost them calling out in the darkness for help, for that guidance, for some kind of a signpost, for some kind of a relief for what they're feeling. For others of you, this can definitely talk about somebody who's been watching tarot readings, getting tarot readings. It doesn't, for some of you, it'll be getting readings or watching readings about this connection, but it feels like they may almost be turning to things of a more general nature, things along the lines of, what's my life purpose? Kind of like, what am I supposed to learn out of this situation? What does the future have in store for me? What do the next several months look like? What does the next year look like? What is this experience meant to teach me? What are the true intentions of people around me? Topics of that nature that are just, they're more broad, not necessarily focused on love, but somebody who's just kind of has no sense of direction at this point in time, doesn't really know how to fix this situation, how to fix the situation that they find themselves in. So a lot of that, again, it's in conjunction with this connection, this energy, the experience with you being a distinct point, almost like the North Star that they are trying to kind of move towards, trying to step back into that light, but finding themselves almost in a very dark place where not a lot is clear, a lot is hidden. There's illusions, there's things that are, kind of nuanced. There are subtleties. There are masks that are becoming apparent to this person, masks that they have been wearing, masks that other people or situations may have presented that made it seem like the good option in the past, that are really being revealed for truth. There's a balance that's coming. There's an equilibrium that's coming. It's a reckoning period almost for this person. This can be looked at almost as a balancing of karma, of the karmic scales as well, where they are really forced to face their own shadow, and the truth behind the illusion of whatever choices they've made in the past and energy they've been vibrating in. So I'm going to get some messages from this person's higher self now and see, what do they want to tell you? Okay, and they say, I love you, but I'm afraid to reach out and have you reject me. So they are thinking about a choice that was made in the past, a decision that was made, uncertainty about how to correct this energy between the two of you, feeling that distance is the best remedy at this point in time, because as they are seeing it, rejection would be almost inevitable based on the circumstances, or it's something that they're really having to kind of work through. A lot of energy of kind of illusions here and shadows, and not certain which way is up, which way is the best way forward. Still allowing fear and a sense of defeat to really kind of cloud them, to cloud their intuition. And so it almost feels safer to maintain a status quo with you while they're in this process of kind of coming to terms with the reality of sort of the life that their choices have really led to. They also say, time has brought me clarity about us. I made the wrong choices. So confirmation right there of almost this immediate sinking feeling when a choice was made to disconnect, to destroy this connection, to move in another direction, to choose somebody else or choose something else, to choose kind of an ingrained or entrenched belief system or a way of moving through the world, that in the time, in the aftermath, since that decision point, since that crossroads, kind of the insufficiency of what they have chosen to invest in, kind of the artificial quality of that, the illusory quality of that has been made apparent, and they are now kind of fumbling, trying to sort of feel their way out of the darkness, trying to, regain their footing, and very uncertain about how to kind of move beyond this, not just in terms of this situation between the two of you, but also in terms of their life. It feels like a very sticky energy that they find themselves in. They've almost overcomplicated matters in their life. They've gotten themselves entangled, embroiled in something, a lot of kind of chaos and destruction, or it will involve that in order to extract themselves from the situation that they almost, again, they leapt without having really looked or really having consulted their heart, without having listened to that internal guidance, allowing the ego mind and perception and fear and illusion to kind of dictate, to sort of navigate, to push them forward in a certain direction. They also say being away from you hurts like hell. I didn't realize it would be this difficult. So this is very kind of painful and uncomfortable, a very unsettled energy, a very kind of bitter energy that they are sitting in right now in terms of that choice that was made. And kind of where they find themselves, the coldness, the artificiality about that, whether that's with another person or just, again, a choice to sort of remain in line with a certain appearance that they were trying to portray, a certain goal, expectations of others, that it's very uncomfortable, it's very constricting. There's a notable lack of freedom and of expansiveness within themselves. They feel very tied down, very constricted, very limited in terms of kind of in comparison to the expansiveness that they experienced with you, this magical quality that they felt in your presence, this new world that had opened up to them, this kind of element of the choice of kind of the known and familiar path, the road that was traveled versus the road less traveled, this new kind of experience in terms of a type of partner, if there's differences, substantial differences between the two of you, or even just something felt at the soul level, something that stirred within them, and they chose almost with that idea of stability and pinnacle, the predictable path, the safe path, even if it was the, more boring path or the more kind of the familiar, the path that others would have approved of or would have applauded or would have said that, this is a good choice. There's something about that just is not leading to as much fulfillment as what they had experienced with you and what they are looking back in hindsight was possible with you. They also say, I wonder if you still think about me. How do you feel about me now that you've had time to reflect? So as they are reflecting, they understand that you are reflecting. Maybe they have been able to kind of observe you on social media, or what they have been able to sense about you energetically, or even just with that temperance. This can talk about a substantial, and that's a relative term, but a substantial period of time, something say longer than weeks that have gone by since the two of you have kind of been in this period of separation, since this ending occurred. And as they have had time to really get their bearings on the path that they have chosen, and they've had time to kind of sit in that, almost to wallow in that energy, they're understanding that, there would have been a very necessary kind of cleanup period for you in your own life. There's recognition about the way in which they approach this situation, a choice that was made, ways in which they made you feel like an option, which they may have made you feel that you weren't good enough, or there was something lacking within you, something insufficient within you, rather than just kind of a restlessness or an impulsiveness within this person that caused them to make a particular decision to move in the direction of another situation. And in hindsight, there is this uncertainty. It's this fear about how can we come back from this? How can this situation be remedied? Lengths that you have had to go to in order to pick up the pieces, in order to sew your heart back together out of this situation, and this uncertainty about the person you've become, and if you are even still able or willing to entertain romantic feelings toward them, or if this is a circumstance that they must just kind of, as part of that karma, part of that judgment, just sort of live with that bitterness. That sort of knowing, that feeling that a decision was made and it was not in accordance with their highest good. They did not follow their heart. They allowed the ego and fear to kind of dictate their path. And so there's an uncertainty about if anything can be done to kind of rebuild this situation, which may be keeping them again in that energy of silence. And they also say, our relationship was different and special. Other people didn't understand it. So confirmation right there of some apparent differences between the two of you, maybe even this person choosing to discontinue their investment in this connection or to sabotage this connection out of fear of what other people would think, maybe opinions that other people had given them, friends or family who judged you, who judged this connection, again, didn't understand it. And instead of this person choosing to follow their own heart, they almost chose to move in the direction of kind of appearances, what would be approved of, what would be, kind of fit the mold of expectation of who the perfect partner for them would be, what a relationship would look like, what that dynamic between two people would look like. They also say it all comes down to timing. So they definitely feel that a lot of other things, the dust needs to settle in their life in other ways. They're in a period of introspection, but there's a lot of cleanup work that needs to happen internally within them before they are in a state of being ready to come forth with any kind of apology or movement or action. It feels that they still need more time to kind of sit in the bed that they've made in order for this clarity to come, this deep understanding, some kind of lesson that the universe really wants to hammer home to this person about the choices that were made and about sort of the consequences of operating in life out motivated by fear and ego, and kind of what results that yields, so that the next time a choice of the heart is presented to this person in the form of this connection or in other kind of areas of their life that don't even need to necessarily relate to romance. This can relate to, opportunities that present themselves, choices to, kind of deviate off the path that they've been walking, that there's something about this situation where they need to kind of sit in this energy and this discontent longer so that they really appreciate kind of the ramifications of that beyond just sort of a physical sense, but this internal quality of discomfort that remains when we act in direct opposition to the direction our heart is guiding us. And they also say, I just got sidetracked. So that can be that energy of all that glitters is not gold. This person chose the predictable path, the known path, the familiar path, the path that would be approved of by others, that looked good on paper, that fit kind of their worldview or their experiences up to this point. Or up to the point when the two of you, when everything kind of fell apart in this situation, that really fit into that idea of what love and partnership should look like. And it's an idea of, kind of getting lost in the weeds in this situation. Something shiny caught their attention, something very appealing. Maybe it was status, maybe it was a certain goal they were kind of working toward. And instead of really following along this very profound kind of revelation of what had been awakened within them through the connection with you, with that tower energy, this can talk about a Kundalini awakening, something kind of their spiritual side that really came online and affected them in a profound way. And instead of following that, instead of kind of pursuing that and seeing where that would lead to, they almost diverted off of that sort of planned route and are now sort of wandering around in this wasteland of discomfort and of sort of choices that didn't turn out to be as wonderful as they thought they might be. They also say, I'm sorry I couldn't follow through with my promises. So that definitely ties into some element of a soul contract that the two of you have had prior to this incarnation, to meet with one another, to activate one another, and to experience this very intense love with one another. It does feel, though, that the experience that's going on right now, it is part of that contract. It is almost like an addendum to that contract. It's a clause to that contract that maybe the initial intention was you spark one another, you lean into this. That's the ideal circumstance. You explore and grow through this energy together. But then there's also this clause of, if one of you chooses to kind of deviate course, this will be the experience. There's still an enrichment taking place. There's still growth at the soul level, but it's in a different way. It's almost like this dynamic between the both of you had two options to it. Two possibilities: growth through very positive and nurturing experiences of love, or growth through discomfort and disappointment. Growth being the theme overall, that the two of you have really been meant to kind of activate and fulfill within one another and within your own lives. But this person, at least from their higher self, recognizing and acknowledging that this wasn't the original plan. This wasn't how things were supposed to play out between the two of you. And it's you both need to just kind of ride that, to just kind of go with that. There's no going back in time to change that. But from the higher self level, there is regret and wishing they'd made a different choice. What they have kind of experienced, the yield of that decision has been very dissatisfying and very uncomfortable, very painful in a lot of ways for this person, and also for you. But then obviously growth in a different form and in a different fashion is kind of the gift that comes out of this experience. They also say, you've affected my life significantly. So more of that energy of activation and awakening and awareness that this person has. And it's this element that has been activated within them that has really been able to provide them the lens, the eyes, the ability to experience that discomfort in whatever path they had chosen to move in whatever direction they'd chosen to move in. You've awakened something within them, and it's very difficult to sort of fit back into that narrow mold that they had lived in prior to incarnating with you and experiencing you. On a level, this incarnation, this experience with one another, it has really advanced your souls very profoundly for the incarnations to come. The ramifications, the effects of this experience with one another, it feels to have ripple effects beyond this lifetime. They also say, I will come back for you. So they are trying to feel their way through the dark, to ride these waves in this dark night of the soul and this kind of energy of discomfort and bitterness that they are in. There is a desire to move beyond this, to bring forth some kind of an apology, to see if the pieces can be picked up, if this situation can be remedied, even if some kind of closure can be provided for the two of you through kind of an apology or through a display of changed actions. Even if this is somebody that you wouldn't entertain in your life again, romantically or otherwise, there is an urge within this person to kind of progress beyond these walls of fear that are keeping them at a distance, to sort of ride the waves of this confusion and this kind of turmoil, this upheaval that has occurred in their life, so that they can reach the point one day of being able to provide you with some kind of vindication, some kind of acknowledgement that the choice they made wasn't the best, and if they could have done things differently, they would have. They also say nothing in this realm can stop our destiny together. So this ties into the idea of a contract with two possible clauses, the overall theme being growth. And no matter what choice this person has made, however this is played out in this circumstance, this is a destiny that the two of you signed up to really experience with one another in this lifetime, to activate one another, to instigate growth, either through difficulties or through, very beautiful experiences. Unfortunately, and yet fortunately, in this circumstance, it seems to have played out in kind of, that latter alternative through kind of through the instances of discomfort is how this growth was to be achieved. But you have both fulfilled on some level that contractual obligation to one another, to meet with one another, to spark something, to awaken something, to trigger things within one another, and then, to really have that kind of resulting growth take place. The two of you supporting one another, working in tandem with one another through the higher realms, at the higher self level. At the higher levels, you two are, you're in union. Things are working really well. Everything is going according to plan. It's here in the 3D that there were these options. There were these possibilities. There are these different kind of roads and pathways. But it all leads to that same destination of the growth of your soul and its expression in the material realm, so that you come closer to that recognition, to that knowledge and that awareness that, in the higher sense, in the realm of spirit, there is no separation, there is no distance, there is no dissonance between the two of you. There is only harmony. They also say, I want you to understand me. So this can tie into the idea of somebody that wants to provide vindication to you in the future, an explanation of the decisions that were made, wanting to explain to you kind of the ramifications of those choices, the road that they took, and sort of the upheaval and the disarray that led to. They also say, you are seared into my heart. So you have had a very profound effect upon them, a lasting impression. You are that point of contrast that is kind of making the discomfort that they are experiencing all the more acute, because they have tasted something, they've experienced something that is the polar opposite of the vibration of, other people that they have chosen to entertain, circumstances, and kind of a very limited expression of their own internal potential that they have actualized out into the material plane. You've made that impression. You have activated them. They could not forget you if they tried. This situation with this person definitely has all the makings of a distinct before and after period. They were one way before they met you. You awoke something within them. They've been unable to shut that down. They are not the same person as they were before you met them. And even in the aftermath of things having crumbled, there has been so much that is shifting and changing, that it almost feels like every day they are developing into kind of a different version of self, kind of the perpetuity with how much things are really being uncovered, illusions are being revealed, the truth is being revealed to this person. The more they kind of fumble through that dark within themselves and within their life, they are changing. This experience is changing them. When they return to you, if they come back towards you at some future point in time, it will be in a very different energy, and most likely even their physical reality, the life that they are living, will be very different from what they were, the vibration they were holding and what they were prioritizing and choosing to invest their time and energy into before. They also say, I long to see you. So there is this yearning, this wishing, this regret for a decision that was made to sabotage this connection, to move away from you, a feeling of wishing they could turn back the hands of time and do things differently. And they also say, take me close to your heart. So more of confirmation of wanting to kind of come out of this darkness and this chaos that they are experiencing, to move back into the light of love, to correct course in some way, to, make better decisions in the future, so that kind of the path that their life takes from this point on is less in alignment with sort of the path of fear, the options of fear, the predictable, the known, albeit the uncomfortable, and a choice that they are wanting to make to answer that call of their heart, that call that sort of directs them towards things that might be outside of their comfort zone. It might be outside of the realm of what others would understand or would approve of, or would be acceptable, or would sort of fit into this expectation, or this path that they had been walking. There's this urge to kind of break trail, to deviate, to break out of this pattern, to break out of this kind of darkness that they find themselves in. Internally and from the higher self, they're really calling for you. You may feel them kind of pulling on your energy, tugging on your energy as just something to kind of anchor to, a rock to hold on to, this certainty, this northern star, this beacon of light and hope. That on the other side of kind of all of this discomfort and all of these shadows that they're having to face, that there is the possibility of deliverance. There is the possibility of something else, of that sweetness, of that purity and truth, and that intensity that they touched on with you, that they experienced with you, and that was activated within them through the connection with you. So I'm going to get one of these little twin flame affirmation cards to just kind of summarize this reading, or sort of add to the messages that came through for you. Okay, and they say, or the affirmation card says, I am a gentle soul who believes in love. So this is really at the core of this person. This is that light that they are trying to move toward within themselves, is this gentleness, this vulnerability, this openness for divine intervention, allowing the divine to kind of carry them through this storm to that core authenticity within themselves, so that the actions that they take, the choices that they make in the material world are more in alignment with that core reality of who they are. This is also kind of some guidance to, as difficult as it might be, based on, it feels like a very kind of almost tragic or frustrating or even infuriating kind of situation that occurred here. It may have been very difficult for you and taken a lot of time, taken a lot of effort and strength to sort of pick the pieces up from this. You may be even still in that process within your life and within yourself, but you're being urged to kind of try to hold this person in a space of compassion, understand that they've not just kind of gone off into the sunset, gotten away scot-free with whatever that has happened in this situation. They are feeling this discomfort. They are feeling these growing pains very acutely. It's definitely a bitterness that has settled in with them about the choices that they've made, and kind of what that has yielded for them in a material sense, and an emotional sense, and spiritual sense. So holding them in that place of compassion helps to really free you from any kind of tethers to that bitterness, that anger, that hurt, that sorrow, that sense of loss and confusion, so that you are able to really reap the full benefits of these circumstances and this contrast contract between the two of you, growth being that overall theme. Leaning more into that direction of love, that light of love, rather than allowing yourself to be almost embittered by these circumstances. Compassion for this person's sort of wounds, or the vibration that they were operating at, the tools that they had at their disposal when they made this choice in the past. It doesn't excuse the choice. It doesn't excuse the behavior. But with compassion, we can kind of let that go in love in order to, again, liberate ourselves so that we can continue on our path of growth toward our highest good. Toward becoming more loving, more gentle, more compassionate as souls and as individuals, despite, because of, and through the experiences that are often the most difficult. These can be kind of our greatest teachers, but then there's also an understanding that not all lessons and growth need to be learned through difficulties and pains. Allowing yourself kind of that freedom and that openness, and really setting that intention to experience growth in the forms of things that are nurturing, things that feed you at a soul level, things that are reciprocal, things that really uplift you. That growth and great strides can be accomplished in that aspect of interaction with others and with experiences as well. So I'm going to get some initials for you. This can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got R, W, G, S, T, A, C, L, B, F, N, I, X, Z, and K. So those are your messages, group 2. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and I do offer pre-recorded video readings now, which are sent to you as a private YouTube link, so you can watch it as many times as you want. I have a few of the written readings left, maybe like 1 or 2 of each kind, and then when those sell out, I will not be restocking them. So if you want to kind of take advantage of that, get a written reading while supplies last, please do that, because again, they're very limited in stock. But then I will continue to offer video readings going forward. I also offer and will continue to offer channeled love letters, and those come in a written format. It's a standalone letter, no tarot cards. It's just the letter sent to you as a PDF file. So those are in stock and will continue to be in stock. I also make handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers. So all of that is available in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking any of that out. Links in the description box of the video for that, or in the About section of my channel page. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. group 3. You chose the Sodalite. So I'm going to start with some tarot and oracle cards to see what's going on with this person currently. What are their thoughts and feelings about you and the connection? Okay, so we've got the Nine of Swords, which is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. Strength, which is Leo. Page of Swords, so more air energy. Six of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Five of Cups, so more water energy. The Hermit, which is Virgo. Athame, boundaries. Yule, rebirth. Wiccan Reed, ethos. And Spirit, initiation. So with the Nine of Swords, this person is going through a lot of anxiety and regret over the current state of the connection. With the Five of Cups, they are definitely focused on a sense of loss, a loss of the friendship that the two of you shared, a loss of the potential and what was really growing or had the potential to blossom out of this connection. With the Six of Cups, this can talk about a desire for reconciliation, a desire to move closer towards you. Tied in with the Five of Cups, this can also talk about kind of somebody who's almost kind of just sitting in sort of an energy of pity and regret, almost torturing themselves, tormenting themselves with memories and with thinking about you, thinking about the connection, maybe looking back over old photos that they have, messages that you've exchanged with one another, and not necessarily creating any kind of a change to generate new sort of memories, new experiences, but somebody who's sort of just crying over their spilled milk at this point in time. Somebody who's kind of having a little bit of a pity party for themselves, or may have been doing that for quite some time, with the idea of hermit, and somebody who's just kind of isolating, keeping to themselves. With Athame and boundaries, they may have really kind of blocked communication with you, gone cold. Even if this is someone who's still in some capacity in your life, there may be kind of an emotional distance. They've withdrawn. They're not as convivial or open or warm with you as they have been. But there is a sense of kind of regret coupled with that anxiety that their behavior, their action, and the time that is going on in this fashion is making matters worse. But a sense of, kind of not being sure how to really master any kind of fear with the Strength card that had caused them to kind of pull away or put up these boundaries. Maybe with this Wiccan Reed, this ethos, this could be something to do with tradition within their family, some kind of a heritage that they grew up in. A way that people have kind of always gone about love and partnerships, and in some way this connection kind of defies that. It's outside of the bounds, it's outside of the box. This person might also trying to do what's right, maybe kind of feeling a sense of obligation or duty. Maybe they're under some kind of they are bound by some kind of oath to somebody else. This could be somebody they are engaged to, somebody that they are promised to. This can also be a vow that they may have made to themselves at one point in time after a heartbreak occurred, maybe in their early childhood or kind of young love gone sour, where they vowed to themselves they would never love again. They've kept these boundaries over their heart. They've iced out their heart. They've closed off their heart. And meeting you has really created chaos out of that. It has turned all of that upside down. It has encouraged this person. It's this initiation with spirit. This kind of something has awoken within them that they've been in this energy of trying to resist, trying to almost push away from, trying to be strong, trying to again kind of uphold that oath or that boundary, that commitment they had made to themselves, to kind of swat away Cupid's arrows if ever they were to strike again. A vow never to open themselves up, never to be that vulnerable with another person again, never to set themselves up for that kind of disappointment again. An idea also with the Hermit and all of this kind of like boundary and this frozen and this closed off energy and this obligatory energy, where somebody has almost created a fortress around their heart that has now become their own prison. And within that, within these kind of these walls from within these bars within their heart, as much as it's kind of an icy or a stony exterior that they're presenting, that this is the way they want things. They want to remain a bachelor. They want to remain a bachelorette. They are not interested in this connection or interested in anything of this depth and nature. On the other side of that, there's a lot of anguish. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of sorrow and a sense of loss. Almost the image of somebody who's, kind of peering out of those bars. With the Page of Swords, it can be dreaming about this, daydreaming about this, longing for that release with this Ace of Swords here that he's holding. This sword of truth, Archangel Michael's sword, to kind of cut through those boundaries and those barriers, to liberate themselves, to free themselves from that oath they may have made, a commitment to another person or a commitment to themselves, never to love again, never to open up their heart to love again, never to let love in again or allow themselves to feel that intensity, to set themselves up for that same kind of damage or disappointment or emotional loss that they may have experienced in the past. Somebody who didn't properly deal with their own heartbreak, but just kind of sequestered it, shut it off, compartmentalized it, created kind of a barrier within themselves over it, and has just been operating at kind of this surface level, ignoring all of this kind of anguish that dwells within them. There's a longing, there's an urge to kind of move beyond this, to step beyond this, but they're not allowing themselves to do this at this point in time. With the idea here of spirit and initiation, this can also really talk about some kind of an awakening that is happening with this person. All that kind of heart energy, some kind of heart chakra activation that has happened, that this connection has sparked, that it has spurred, the intensity of that, what they have felt for you, in conjunction with kind of this vow that they made to themselves, or this sense of obligation, where they've been trying to kind of push this away and resist this. Nevertheless, wheels have been set in motion, and this is an energy where it's an expansion, it's a reawakening, it's this heart coming to life again. Maybe this is a relationship they've been in for quite some time, a stale marriage that's past its expiration date, and they've just been going through the motions of this connection, this person that they're with, that everything feels very comfortable with, it feels very predictable with, it's very safe with, it's, there's not a lot of a deep emotional investment in that, so that if the connection were to fall apart, obviously there would be some kind of like a sense of loss with it, but it wouldn't be the profound heartbreak that they have experienced in the past with individuals, or an individual that they truly felt a deep connection with, that there was true love with. Whatever they're occupied with now, whatever they're invested in now, it's really just, it's for surface, it's for appearance. It almost feeds their ego in some kind of a way. It's convenient, it's comfortable. It's almost the idea of having a warm body, a companion there with them, but two people who truly on the soul level are not a match for one another. It's a mismatch. It might be something that's just, again, kind of for convenience. Maybe it strokes their ego a bit, makes them feel kind of good about themselves or a little less lonely. It helps to distract from, again, the sense of isolation and anxiety and loss and anguish that they feel inside. And so encountering you and what's really been sparked by that, it has tried to pull them outside of this comfort zone, this staleness that they've been operating in, even the staleness of kind of remaining aloof, remaining single, remaining unattached if they're not with another partner. But kind of that commitment they made to themselves to never fall in love again, to never allow themselves to do that again, to really cut away from that if it ever dared to approach, to keep themselves cold and frozen and closed off to that. And even that kind of a stance, it takes on a stale aspect. This isn't something that fulfills them. It's a coping mechanism. It's what they've needed to do to get by. This heartbreak, this anguish, this untended wounds within them, it's a beast within them. And it's almost a very tenuous kind of a band-aid that they've put on top of that. They've kind of mastered that. They've created some kind of an equilibrium, but it's a very unpredictable feeling within them. At any point, that wildness could rear its ugly head. And so to even put a toe in the emotional water, to even allow themselves to indulge in these feelings for a moment, there's a fear of being very overcome, being devoured by that, being, to open that door even a crack is to unleash a force that is beyond their controlling. And so this is somebody who, has gone through these motions, this very closed off motion for quite some time. But this connection has activated something within them. It's sparked something within them. It's awoken this purity and this innocence within them that may have been dormant or which they thought they had killed off long ago, that really came back to life. And so in the aftermath of maybe pushing you away, being triggered, retreating into that stale and comfortable dynamic or relationship that they're in, or retreating into that stale and comfortable dynamic of the promise they made to themselves, never to love again, to just kind of close their heart off, maybe close their life off, just, be in their own energy. Maybe somebody who, is celibate, does not even date, is just completely closed off to the idea of romance. And what has really been generated within them, what has been awoken within them, is urging them to kind of to sort of leave that tendency, that what might have been a coping mechanism, very necessary for this person to overcome or to deal or to come to terms or grapple with something with the Nine of Swords that continues to kind of plague them. It's a source of anxiety, worry. They dream about this. There are nightmares. There's a fear of kind of history repeating itself, which has kind of resulted in this behavior. In that aftermath of sort of pushing you away, pulling themselves away, declining this offer, refusing to participate, kicking over those cups of love, maybe repeated rejections that had occurred where, you kept trying with this person. You kept trying to be understanding, to be generous, to be understanding, and they just kept kicking that over. They kept rejecting that, rebuffing that, ignoring that, not participating in that, choosing not to recognize that. On the other side, there's this life force which is stirred within them. There's this person looking out from behind the bars of the walls of their own kind of self-imposed prison, longing, dreaming of the times that, you were together with one another, and kind of that initial spark, that potential where it could have grown into so much more. Dreams of being very brave, of overcoming kind of this fear, dreams of sort of letting go of the past or having the hold of the past kind of release itself on them. This feels like somebody that almost considers themselves to have almost this wild animal of anguish that lives within them, and it requires all this extreme control and coldness on their part to keep that at bay. They may also feel that they are protecting you from this darkness, from this very wild and unkept, untamed part of themselves that may have either directly sabotaged relationships of the past, or they've been made to believe that it was their fault, that there's something flawed or just out of control about them that systematically kind of ruins relationships. And so somebody who's almost making these excuses, telling themselves a tale that it's for your own good, it's for your own safety and protection, that they have kind of kept you at arm's length, to allow you to see within them, to see that wildness and that shadow, that very primal and primordial, and just that yowling beast within them of all this pain that they have just held within, these wounds that will not heal, that will not stop weeping. To keep you at a distance is to kind of preserve the integrity and innocence, keeping you in the realm of what could have been, what might have been, what almost was, or what was for a period of time and is no more. But there are dreams and thoughts of deviating course, of doing something different. But with this page energy, it feels again like a very insurmountable challenge. This is a Goliath to this person. They have gone through this motion of being frozen and kind of closed off for so long that despite this heart chakra activation that has happened, despite this process, they feel very ill-equipped to kind of deal with this. They recognize that this is kind of very old news within them. These wounds have been festering for quite some time, and that it's not just as simple as kind of letting that guard down. There's a lot of cleanup work that needs to happen within. But something has been awakened. You have definitely awoken this person at the heart level, which almost feels that the colder they are and the harder that they push away, the deeper those boundaries are, the more they try to withdraw. It's all evidence of just how deeply you've touched them and activated them. Something has awoken within them, and it's leading to a level of discomfort that they're almost clinging to that comfort zone, and the coping mechanisms even more strongly than they had before, clinging for dear life to, this fear of really addressing what's within them, this fear of vulnerability, this fear of opening up in order to potentially be hurt in love once again. So I'm going to get some messages from this person's higher self for you, group 3. Okay, and they say, I'm still trying to find a place for myself in the world. So this person may be doing a lot of soul searching, perhaps even literally traveling, kind of wandering the world right now, wandering the possibilities of who they are based on what has been really awoken within them, sparked within them, brought back to life. A sense of figuring out, how to kind of navigate that, how to manage that, how to manage this part of themselves, how to manage all that cleanup work that needs to be done in order to provide themselves with some type of relief and to provide almost the possibility of renewal and regeneration in this connection, that rebirth energy here in Yule. Yule being the celebration of the winter solstice. So it's kind of that turning point from kind of the darker half of the year. It's the longest night of the year, kind of where the darkness is at its most extended place. This person having reached kind of their breaking point, this darkness within them that they've staved off, this kind of prison that they've created around their heart that has been there for quite some time. Something within them has really been sparked and awoken to where, there's a lightness that is coming now. Like every day that passes, it feels a little more manageable of a task. It's very overwhelming still. They're still very much, kind of hiding from this darkness, trying to stuff this down within themselves. But kind of as time is going on, they're reaching more and more clarity. They're getting closer and closer to that point of light and courage and truth about what needs to be done, about what they are fearing. Almost the remedy to this pain that they've been holding is the love that they have experienced with you and that they've almost pushed away. They've run from the medicine, from the cure to what ails them within. And they also say, I miss looking into your eyes and into your soul. So an acknowledgement there of a deep soul connection, something sparked. This could be even a love at first sight situation where something just really almost cracked open within this person the first time you made eye contact. Eye contact with one another could be very uncomfortable for this person as well. There's a sense of them recognizing that you see beyond all of these walls and these masks and these facades, that you somehow see that pain within them and you love them anyway. And it's something they're not used to. They're very ashamed of this part of themselves. It's something that they're trying to really stuff down and hide. There's a frustration at how long this pain has sat with them, that it has kind of moved with them through time and over the years. A sense of, feeling that it's a very ugly and shameful part of them, and yet somehow you are able to really see them in their fullness, to recognize that pain and also the virtues which exist within them, that you're very accepting. They feel only love coming from you. When they look at you, they look into your soul. They see the innate wholeness and perfection with all of your flaws and all of your beauty, and it mirrors to them that fact, that reality about themselves, which is very uncomfortable for this person because they are not accustomed to viewing themselves in that way. They're not accustomed to regarding themselves in that way. They're not accustomed to embracing these shadows and these perceived deficits or these fractures within themselves. They're used to just kind of being very judgmental about that, being very disgusted by that aspect of themselves, very ashamed of that aspect of themselves. But when confronted with you, they see like a wholeness and a self-acceptance that is very outside of the ordinary for them. They also say, I feel like I don't know who I am anymore. So that ties in with the idea of trying to find their place in the world and something that's really been activated and sparked and awoken within them, some kind of heart chakra activation that is changing the way they view themselves, the way they view the situation, the feelings within them, and all of this kind of confusion and this sort of energy of rebirth and kind of moving out of that darkness that they've been sitting with and that they've become accustomed to, towards the light of self-acceptance, the light of self-understanding and self-knowledge, clarity and truth about these circumstances, why they've held on to these things, the true nature of what happened, the necessity of holding that pain for so long, and the truth that they have the ability to let that go and move on from that at any point that they choose, simply through the act of surrender, reaching out for help from the divine, opening themselves to grace and to the ability of these things, this heartbreak, this pain, to be washed away through the power of spirit, through that connection with the higher self, through a determination that this is not how life will continue to be. Owning and accepting that, a degree and a portion of this pain will continue to be almost a soul memory. It will almost have a neuropathic effect upon them, but it doesn't need to dictate the future. They feed into that pain by continuing to allow it to have such a say in the experiences that they will or will not allow themselves to have. And this change in perspective where they are learning to accept themselves, flaws and all, it's very different from how they viewed themselves and have really categorized this pain, this void or this darkness, this beast that they feel that they carry within themselves, that they've kept you at an arm's length so that you cannot see that, so that will not be revealed, so it will not devour you in the same way that it's devoured them. And so they are in this process of kind of reshaping and reformulating their relationship with that, with their own inner darkness, with their own shadow, with their own experiences, with their own pain and wounding. And so kind of in this process of needing to kind of recalibrate, re-identify themselves with who they are, who they have been in this life, and who they want to become. They also say letting you down was the worst decision I made. So this ties in with the idea of maybe kicking over some cups of love that you had to offer, rejecting the medicine of love that could have really been this remedy that they've been calling for, that they've been yearning for, this deliverance, something different than the pain and the anguish that they have felt within. There's a sense of this not feeling good, of kind of that return to the stale energy, the closed in room where windows haven't been opened in years perhaps. Fresh air hasn't come in, that you were a breath of fresh air, you continue to remain that. They can still taste your essence, your energy, even if this is somebody you've not met or interacted with in a physical sense, if this is just kind of an online connection, they still, you have made an energetic impact upon them. They feel your energy, they feel your essence, you remain with them. You have accompanied them back into this closed-in room within themselves. And it's that polarity that is really bringing in the awareness that what they are fearing is actually the sweetness that they have been craving for so long. They also say, I'm haunted by us. I didn't follow my heart, and now I don't know how to let you go. So again, that idea of your essence really sticking with them, the impact, the impression that you've made upon them, what you've awoken within them, what they see in you exists within them. This is something where they are not just able to kind of shut back down, to go back into that space of denial, as much as they are kind of pushing you away, keeping those boundaries very firm. If this is someone you interact with still, they might be just trying to keep things at a very kind of platonic level, a very surface level, avoiding at all costs, even just the energetic openness of their heart that at one point in time might have been sensed by you. There could almost be a restraint to that. They're holding themselves back in a certain way. But kind of on the other side of that, when the two of you, part ways, your conversation is concluded, or if this is someone you're in total separation from, in that space of silence and distance, in the blocking, in the boundaries, and the iciness, and the barriers, the time and space that now is this chasm between you, you remain with them. The impact you've made can never be forgotten. And it's something where, as much as they may have tried to kind of use their same approach of just kind of stuffing down, quieting, not looking at things, this vow to never love again, to not address these things, to not touch on the pain, to just continue to move forward and ignore and compartmentalize. It's been very ineffective in this situation. You've almost been the straw that broke the camel's back, where they are now forced to kind of address these things, tend these festering wounds within them, and the wound of kind of, again, moving away from a direction of a new experience in love that can be very healing and very uplifting, that fresh air that comes in to kind of clear the stagnancy from their life and from their heart. It remains with them. You remain with them, and it almost feels that the energetic impact you've had upon them is almost has breathed life into them. It's a vitality that was lacking. You've brought them back to life in some way, and you've invigorated them to start to very carefully and methodically and slowly address a lot of these things that have been suppressed and untended in them for so long. They also say, even though I don't show it, I'm sorry for how things went between us. So that ties into the idea of these boundaries, the silence, the barriers, words they are not speaking that are a direct contradiction to what is occurring within them. Lots of thoughts, lots of nostalgia, lots of wishing they could have done things differently, wishing for different results, wishing to be on the other side of this pain and this anguish, this trap which they have set for themselves. They have trapped themselves in their own heart and in their own psyche and mind, alongside all of this unhealed pain and heartbreak. Seeking to avoid a replication of that, they have remained with the ghosts of the past, these past heartbreaks, which continue to haunt them. They also say, I know it might be too late by the time I figure things out. So that ties in with the idea of sort of this anguish within them. They are looking at that as a Goliath, and they feel very unprepared to fully deal with that, to address that in any kind of measurable way. They are almost making molehills into mountains, and perhaps it is very profound and substantial. It will require some time and some work and rigorous honesty to kind of go back through the pages of, things from their distant past, things from childhood that haven't been addressed, a lot of work that they need to do internally to kind of rewrite the script for themselves, clean out those dusty corners that they've ignored, let some light in, let some fresh air in, kind of move things around, move the furniture around, the way that they are sort of conceptualizing the narratives that they are telling themselves. They know that it's a lot of hard work. It's not just as easy as opening the door. There's a lot of cleanup work that they need to do, new tools that they need to take on, tools within themselves they need to fashion and utilize in a different way. Instead of this, sharp cutting energy of cutting off opportunities for love, taking that sword and utilizing that to cut away from these cords of attachment to, feelings that don't serve their highest good, memories that are no longer needing to occupy so much space rent free in their heart and in their mind and in their life, and kind of determining their actions. This all being a process, and this person feeling like an arduous process. Kind of that idea also with Yule, where it's like the calendar, the time has just kind of ticked over, something is activated. It's that springtime energy, it's that spark, it's the match that has been lit by you and by this connection, but it's still going to take kind of this gradual approach before any kind of discernible change is evident. You know, that very long darkness that they've been sitting on, gradually that will kind of ebb. Gradually there'll be kind of a lengthening of this optimism, of the light, of the hope of change, the hope of something different, the recognition of a different type of experience, but it will take some time. And there's a fear of that's kind of keeping them stuck, but also acts in a way as a motivation to start to do this, however slowly, to start somewhere, because time is of the essence. And again, this, what has been awoken within them, won't go back to sleep. It can't properly be contained or shut down. They know too much now. They have seen too much. They have seen themselves mirrored in your eyes. And even if you haven't looked each other in the eyes yet, it's just been photographs or, you know, like online communication. There's something in that dynamic, in that energy exchange, where they see in you the potential of what they could step into, and what they are being called to recognize already exists, that innate wholeness, despite the flaws and fractures, and all the beauty of perfection that exists in this perfect amalgam within themselves. What they see in you also exists in them. They also say, you still take my breath away. So they are deeply compelled and attracted towards you. If they're looking back on photos, or even new photos that you are posting online, or if this is purely just energetic and memory, it's something, you know, that idea of breath, the breath of life. You have breathed life back into them. They're still very captivated by you, very drawn towards you, drawn towards your light, drawn toward kind of the elixir of love that you offer, that you represent, that you exude. They also say, I will come back for you. So they do not want to continue on perpetually in this energy of kind of things being frozen, closed off. They no longer can or want to stay barricaded in this very stale prison within themselves. There's a desire to kind of work their way through this, this kind of murkiness and the shadows within themselves, to create some better tools, to create some peace within themselves, in order to be able to provide you with something, an apology, or just a changed energy, a fresher energy, an energy of consistency and openness and trust, excitement and gratitude for the gift of love that's been presented to them. There's a desire to kind of move out of the phase that you find yourselves in the direction of rebirth and renewal. They also say, I'm really bad at commitment. So that ties into the idea of somebody who's had their heart shut down, who has made a vow to themselves, who's closed themselves off to deep, intimate connections. They may be in relationships with other people, but they feel to very much be void of that deep emotional kind of level of connection. There may be love in these situations, but it's almost a surface level love. It's something to where if these situations crumbled, this wouldn't be irreparable damage. This wouldn't be something that the person is still carrying around the heartbreak of that years, decades even later, where, you know, it really just, it's not the kind of circumstances. They've not allowed themselves to enter into those circumstances where they could be crushed in quite that way again. They've taken very careful and deliberate steps to, you know, kind of compartmentalize, to cover over that hurt, to not look at that hurt, to contain that within themselves, to push away anything that threatens to get too close to that, or in some way mimics kind of the, you know, the depth of love that was on the other side of the spectrum from this deep hurt that they continue to harbor within them. And by virtue of that, kind of what they have felt for you, it came too close to a feeling that in the past had resulted in sort of this anguish that they continue to hold inside. So it's almost punishing you or blaming you, or improperly kind of assigning labels and assumptions onto you for the ways in which people of the past were careless with their heart. And they also say, I need you to know how deeply I care. So this is the energy of somebody kind of staring out from those walls and the prison bars around their heart. somebody who has a lot of love for you, who has been profoundly impacted by you, by the experience with you, by knowing you, by exchanging energy with you, spending time with you, looking into your eyes, looking into your soul, feeling you around them. There's a deep and abiding love that they have for you, which is so triggering. It's almost somebody who's afraid of the very thing that they need as the cure for themselves. They see you as that medicine, and yet they are pushing that away. There's a fear of almost having become accustomed to this anguish, this ache within them for so long. Who are they if they are not identifying with that? They also say, I am overwhelmed by excitement and confusion. So again, this feeling of just something sparked within them, the intensity of that, feelings that they've not felt in a while, and this being very alluring for them, this kind of jolt back to life, but at the same time feeling very overwhelmed by that, kind of ashamed as they look around at kind of the disarray of these internal chambers of their subconscious and their heart, not wanting you to see all this pain they've carried around, not wanting you to see the way in which they, really don't believe themselves to be very lovable, ways in which they have kind of made themselves out or come to believe themselves to be a bad guy or bad girl in the situation, kind of a breaker of hearts, when really they are, kind of suffering in the aftermath of having their own heart completely obliterated. Just these stories that they have come to tell themselves, and you offering kind of this, you see them in a different light. You see beyond all of that. You recognize them for their innate wholeness. They see that mirrored within you, and it's so outside of the realm of what they have come to believe about themselves that it's very exciting, this possibility of something different, something new, the truth and the love that you offer, but at the same time it's very overwhelming. How to really reconcile that with a kind of a coping mechanism or a belief that they have kind of taken on of who they are, and sort of this idea of a void or this heaviness of a heartbreak that they've just been sort of carrying around with them like a chain that they've been dragging behind them, and kind of this uncertainty of what will that feel like to let that go, a desire to have that be gone, but yet not being able or willing to kind of relinquish the grip on that. They also say the tide of time will always bring you back to me. So as much as they try to kind of starve out these feelings of you, ice those over, distract themselves, ignore these things, they are drawn back to you time and again, in their thoughts, in their dreams, reminders of you, a desire to kind of move back in your direction as well, seeing that there's a monumental job ahead of them, a cleanup job, kind of a growth and advancement within them that needs to take place. But there is this idea that on the other side of that, and it's this motivation to prepare themselves, to ready themselves, to create that kind of condition of love within them so that they are a proper vessel and receptacle to give and exchange healthy and reciprocal love with you in the future. They also say, I am afraid I will lose myself in you. So again, more of that fear of kind of the devastation of heartbreak, not wanting to open themselves up to love of that caliber, love of this intensity again, because there was some time in the past, maybe multiple times, where it was just very hard to recover from that when things fell apart. People who were careless with their heart. And so they've come to this place of the ways in which they've kind of stitched that back together. They've glued that back together. They've pieced it together as best as they could. And they're keeping it very, very tight, very cloistered within themselves. There's there's a fear of almost losing what little kind of stability and sort of equilibrium that they've been able to, and almost sanity that they've been able to kind of cultivate for themselves, that they can't allow themselves to break apart like that again. It was too difficult. It was too arduous of a process to kind of pick up the pieces from again. Also, this idea of mountains or molehills into mountains. And for some people, this could be an actual, a very distinct like mountain, a very devastating thing that truly and genuinely was very difficult and was kind of touch and go in terms of what it took for them to kind of recover from that. But it feels like for a lot of people, it's almost they've sat with this heartbreak and they've not tended it. They just sort of covered it up and tried to move on, that they've made it into something more than it actually is. They are more frightened of this. They have built this up into this Goliath within themselves. They fear that. They fear tapping into that, touching upon that hurt. They fear the sting of it. They fear the pain of it. And they've allowed it to kind of fester and get all infected and gooey and nasty within themselves. And a lot of that is just, it's that fear. It's that false evidence appearing real, to where, when they actually take the time to sort of take that logical perspective, be very assertive. It's something that there's discomfort with that, but this is not an insurmountable task. But still, they're very much held back by fear of losing this identity as well. They've come to identify with this pain they hold within them, that is as uncomfortable as it is, as much as they want for something different, a different sensation within themselves. There's a fear and a hesitation of who are they on the other side of that identity. They also say, in you, I see the depth of my life's true meaning. So that's a beautiful confirmation there of what they recognize within you, the wholeness that they see within you. They see your flaws, they see your virtues, they see you as this perfect mosaic of positive and negative, light and shadow, masculine and feminine, healing and wounds. They see all of this. They recognize, even if it's nothing that you've talked about directly, just energetically they sense that. They see your scars and they find you to be so beautiful. They see the ashes of experience that you carry with you and how you have risen from these things, how you have persisted, how you have used these experiences and these instances to almost, fuel you stepping into a stronger and more resilient and more clarified version of yourself. They see all of that. They recognize that potential in themselves, but it's very frightening because they've come to identify themselves with these wounds, with this closed off, aloof, unloving kind of and unlovable energy for so long, that as much as they yearn for that, they yearn to step into that true face, that truth within themselves that they see in you. They see that echoed in you, that part of you. These parts of you call that forth from them. There's an urge toward that. They're being drawn toward that. And yet there is this element of fear that they are needing to kind of confront, letting go of routine, letting go of kind of that predictable discomfort within themselves, to take that step, that leap of faith, that first small effort, and gradually day by day have that kind of culminate in these leaps and bounds to reimagining, a new way that love can be, releasing this idea that the past need dictate what the future experiences in love will be, releasing some of these wounds and these hurts that they've carried around, freeing themselves from that obligation they've made to themselves to never love again, or extracting themselves from relationships that are just, they're past their expiration date, they're stale, they're superficial, they're surface level, they don't touch or activate this person on a soul level. They are just comfortable. It is just so that there is a warm body there, because it's predictable, because it's known to have someone around. It satisfies superficial or ego-based needs. There's this call into a greater depth of connectivity, a greater depth of experience with you. And this person really in this process of kind of grappling with that, still staring out from those bars, that fortress prison within them, and this yearning and this longing and daydreams and recollections and hopes of kind of liberating themselves from this to move toward the light of love with you. So I'm going to get one of these twin flame affirmation cards for you to kind of add to what came through here, or summarize it. We'll just see what comes through for you, group 3. Okay, and it says, I am the divine masculine. So that can be confirmation for you if you resonate as a twin flame, or you consider the person you're watching this reading for, your divine masculine. This can be a confirmation that this is that person. This is who that reading is about. But this masculine energy, this also is an energy of decisiveness. This is not a passive energy. This is an active energy. This is really some encouragement here that, this state that this person is in, this kind of frozen and detached and just kind of brooding in that pain that they hold within themselves, or in this very kind of sort of limited emotional kind of life that they've built for themselves, keeping that, those emotions in this relationship at arm's length, sort of pushing you away or kind of, icing things out, that this will fade. Something has been awoken within them. This person will take action. They will take decisive measures to sort of do that cleanup work. For a lot of you, they have already begun this process energetically. Things might really be shifting in terms of those stale relationships that they are in, something that has been awoken within them, the vibration that they are putting out, even not through efforts on their own part. It's just very innate. It's shaking up that kind of status quo. It's shaking up that contentment. It's creating dissonance in those situations. It's creating this discomfort. Those people, those partners are starting to gravitate away from this person. This person's exterior life is starting to change. It's starting to shake. It's the idea of kind of the prelude to some sort of an earthquake, as those tectonic plates, the pressure, and there's a shifting before that kind of, that vibration is felt on the surface level, on the surface of the earth. All of this stuff that has been awoken and has been shifting within this person, it is creating these ripple effects out into their environment. This person moving again also with that idea of Yule, that winter solstice, and kind of that longest night of the year that then gives way to kind of this gradual lengthening of the daylight, of the daylight hours and the sun, and kind of this warmth moving toward that brightness, that this person will definitely take action in some way to take control of their life. It may not be in the time or in the manner that you would like it to be, but there has been something that has been sparked within them. There's change. They can't sit in this stale energy for much longer. There's a desire to break free, to move beyond that. And again, this masculine energy is, it's taking action. It's taking control. It's not just sitting there and allowing life to pass one by. It's not passively sitting and just accepting that stale energy, that pain, that heartbreak, that lackluster existence. It's taking steps. It's taking action. It's making decisions. It's making moves in order to create change, in order to liberate oneself, open those windows, let the light in, let the fresh air in, address these wounds, face those fears and those Goliaths, defeat these things, or at least put in the effort to doing that, giving, trying, making some kind of concerted effort rather than just allowing time to continue to slip by and opportunities to continue to slip by. So this is somebody who's in this process of kind of owning that, stepping into their power and taking back control of their life and this situation, which when they do that then ripples out and has the ability to profoundly affect and change how they are able to show up for you and in this connection in the future. So I'm going to get some initials for you, group 3, and this can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got X, J, D, Q, L, C, Z, S, U, G, R, F, W, B, E, O, T, M, and V. So those are your messages, group 3. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you would like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and I do offer pre-recorded video readings now that will be sent to you as a private YouTube link, so you can watch the video as many times as you like. I do still have a couple more written readings left. There's maybe like 1 or 2 of each type, and then once those sell out, I will not be restocking them. So if you would like to take advantage of that and get a written reading while the supplies last, please do so, because they are almost out of stock. I do offer and will continue to offer channeled love letters. Those are standalone letters. There are no tarot cards involved with those. It's just the letter typed out, so a written reading, and it'll be sent to you as a PDF file. Those are in stock, and I will continue to offer those in the future as well. I also make handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers. All of that's available in my Etsy shop if you want to check any of that out. There's a link to my shop in the description box of this video and in the About section of my channel page. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.